You walk with me when I was all alone, with so much to know along the way.
To all you guys out there that applies to, happy Father's Day. And to the rest of you, good morning. Have you ever tried to be in two places at the same time? In many ways, technology is making that possible. Some parents are setting up baby cams in their nursery so grandparents can log on to the internet and watch their grandchildren sleep. I caught a commercial on TV a time or two when a father watches his son play a championship soccer game from his motel room while he's away on business. Using high-speed connectivity, the father is able to be there with his son as he scores the winning goal. But is it the same? Grandparents don't just want to watch their grandchildren, they want to hold them. And fathers don't want to just watch your son score the winning goal on a computer screen. They want to go to the victory party too. You know, it's because of finances and distance, I haven't seen my father in a little over a year. And I know that he was often busy working, trying to keep a roof over our heads. But he was there when it counted. He was there as a role model. And he's still there today. I remember when I played Little League Baseball. You know, some people just aren't meant for some sports. And baseball was not my calling. But you know what? My dad was there. I remember for 7 or 8 years playing football, I could always count on looking up into the stands and seeing my dad. He was there to encourage me. I remember when I broke my arm on the football field and they were wrapping me up. This familiar face appeared over my head. It was Dad to help me off the field and take me to the hospital. This morning, we're going to get in on some fatherly advice. As fatherly advice is not necessarily from me to you, but we're going to listen in on fatherly advice from King David to his son Solomon. Now, if you know the history of David, you know the whole episode with his son Absalom and different things that took place in his life. David was in many ways far from a shining example of fatherhood, but there were times when he really did shine. And I tell you this, there are plenty of times when I am less than a shining example of fatherhood. But all I can hope is that Jesus really shines through me. Such as at the moment, my son should be in the sanctuary. And Christopher, would you go get my son out of my office and ask him to come to the sanctuary, please? Thank you. You think I'm putting him on the spot, and I am. But anyway, we have a responsibility as fathers to do the best that we can by our kids. Sometimes we rise to the occasion, sometimes we fall flat on our faces. David was trying to give some instruction to his son Solomon. And it says in verse 1 of 1 Kings chapter 2, when the time drew near for David to die, he gave a charge to Solomon, his son. I am going the way of all the earth. So be strong and show yourself a man. And observe what the Lord your God requires. Walk in His ways and keep His decrees and His commands, His laws and His requirements as written in the law of Moses, so that you may prosper in all you do and wherever you go, and that the Lord may keep His promises to me. If your descendants watch how they live, and if they walk faithfully before me with all their heart and soul, you will never fail to have a man on the throne of Israel. Kings 2, 1 through 4. Let me tell you something. This was written thousands of years ago, but it is very relevant today. And though this is David talking to his son Solomon, and though there are some issues about assuming the throne, that to my knowledge we don't have any heirs to a earthly throne here today, there are some relevant things in this passage that we can take to heart. And one of the very first things that David says to Solomon is, be a strong man. Be a strong man. What does that mean to be a strong man? We're not talking about being able to lift furniture. We're not talking about being able to excel in sports. What does it mean to be a strong man? There are examples of people who think that they're strong and strong men. David was telling Solomon he needed to be strong because as king, he would be surrounded by adversaries on a regular basis. And he needed to be strong king against his adversaries. But he also needed to be a strong leader for his people. What does it mean for us to be a strong man? I tell you, gentlemen, in this church, I'm not just talking to fathers in this sermon. I'm talking to men, and a lot of this can be applied to women. You need to be strong. You need to be a strong man. That means you need to stand above the slime. Stand above the slime. I got that out of the Bible there. No, not quite. But this is what I mean by that. This is a lovely world that we live in, but every year, as time progresses, it becomes more and more corrupt, more and more sinful, and examples of good fatherhood have fallen to the wayside, and men are not living up to their responsibilities as men, as husbands, as fathers. They're failing. They've got caught up in the ways of the world. A weak man follows the sinful ways of the world. It's easy to say, well, I'm going to do what I want to do. I want to do what makes me happy. I want to do what makes me feel good. That sounds like a child to me. That's all a child wants. They want what they want. They want what makes them feel good. They don't care about responsibilities, and they don't care about examples. A strong man resists and stands for that which is right according to God. Why do I say according to God? Because there are countless examples of fatherhood that are given